Okay, let's check if we're live. Come on, X. Is it working? There it goes. Okay. All right. So welcome everybody to Vibe Combinator Batch 3. It's crazy to think we've been going at this for a month and a half already. Time just flies. Anyway, so this is the Batch 3 participants who are going to be demoing today. For those of you who don't know, that Vibe Combinator is a community for solo builders, indie hackers, vibe coders who need some accountability to ship their products and ship them fast. So we all come together and hold each other accountable to keep shipping and do it quickly. And we also kind of act as a mastermind where we kind of help each other out whenever somebody's facing challenges, needs advice, has questions, whatever. Like everybody kind of pitches in. And yeah, it's just a fun way to build together because we're all kind of trying to do the same thing, build products as indies mostly, and get that MRR going. So yeah, that's Vibe Combinator. So we'll start off with the demos with Ben.
All right, hey guys, good morning everybody. So I think where I'll start here is in our Discord channel, the Vibe Combinator Discord channel. We all had our own threads for this batch, and I found this to be really helpful because then I could post my progress and everything, and people could comment back. I started out the 2 weeks with a completely different idea. I was thinking of doing some kind of like AI generated journal template for people who like to journal. And what I learned from that pretty quickly was that it already existed. And the reason I didn't know it existed and the reason that none of my circle knew anything existed was because none of us actually journal. And so that one fell flat right away because I realized, even though it's an interesting problem, it's not a problem I actually have. And even though my circle was enthusiastic about it, they also don't really have the problem. So it just kind of sounded cool, and it fell flat. So then later in my little thread here, I decide, new plan. I'm going to work on Pocket Host, which was an existing service that I have. And I wanted to tell you the story of this very compressed story, but I think there's something important in here. I think there's an important insight about how to find problems that are real. So it all started with this Google product named Firebase, which is basically a database that you can use when you're programming applications. And it just got a lot easier because they released this Firebase Studio. In fact, I think there's at least one person in the batch that's using Firebase Studio right now. But I was trying to make just a web-based game, and this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I was working with Firebase, and then I learned about this project called Pocketbase, which was, it says, open source real-time backend in one file. Well, that sounds pretty simple and pretty interesting, and this guy who runs this channel called Fireship, he's got almost 4 million subscribers. He featured Pocketbase in one of his videos, and it just blew up. And this was back in when was this? Couple years ago. And this guy's project went from maybe 100 stars or likes on GitHub to 30,000 stars almost overnight because of this Fireship effect. And I was one of the people who watched this video. And so I went to check out Pocketbase, like, well, maybe this is better than Firebase for my game that I'm trying to build. And I liked how it looked. It provides a nice admin user interface where you can, edit your data and everything. And I thought, well, this is handy for just for a one-man show. I can have this whole administrative backend, and so it seemed good. But one thing I noticed about Pocketbase was it says, it can be deployed just by uploading the executable to your server. And then I thought, well, because Firebase, I don't have to deploy anything. You just sign up for Firebase and it's ready to go. but Pocket Base, you have to have a server. So I went over to DigitalOcean, which is a hosting provider, and I created a server. And I realized quickly, and this is how I get distracted into finding real problems. Remember, I was working on a game to start, but now I've hit an actual technical problem, which is I don't want to set up a server every time I create a project based on Pocket Base. So here's something where I just kind of wandered down this path, and eventually I hit a problem that was in the way of what I was trying to build, which was that game. And so for some reason, I decided I know it's going to be a good idea to build a hosting service that feels a lot like Firebase, but works for Pocket Base. So I posted on the Pocket Base forum, and this is back on September 16th, 2022, where I'm saying I just want to capture a discussion about how a hosting service might work, because I don't want to keep uploading Pocket Base and managing my own servers and doing all of this, unrelated stuff. I just want to build my game. So here I am down this rabbit hole because I just wanted to build my game. And there's a bunch of discussion back and forth. And then here on September 18th, so what is that? The 16th to the 18th. So 2 days later, I bought a domain called pockethost.io, and I had a very janky version running, and it looked like this. I went to the Wayback Machine and actually pulled the first version of Pocket Host that it found, which was from November. So this is even 2 months later. But this is my design right here. I'm not a good designer. I just shipped this thing. I shipped it in 2 days, and it looked pretty similar to this from the time I launched it. And this was before vibe coding or anything. So this was just me writing code. And the thing barely worked. It crashed immediately because so many people went to sign up for it, and this was the only thing I posted. This wasn't even a top level thread in the Pocket Base forum. It was just a reply to my own thread where I said, if anyone's following this, I have pockethost.io. And within a few days, there were 5,000 users on Pocket Host. And they were crashing the server all the time and, giving me feedback and things. I say something. I have another note about things that I found very challenging that Pocket Host solves. So, for non-technical people, this could be a good thing. And it turned out that it was. Like, people flooded into it. So because Fireship started this kind of trend, I just happened to have the right timing on this, where it was like, oh, nobody's done this yet, and here's a lot of interest around it. And so I built Pocket Host. Users came in, and the first thing somebody said was, well, this looks like a really crappy product. I wouldn't want to use it if I didn't know what it was. So can I help you build a better one? And here's what the guy built for me. Somebody contributed this to the open source project that I created. I created this open source project called Pocket Host, and you can see it's got 1,000 stars. And somebody came in and created this whole, in my opinion, much better looking thing. Like, it looks actually more professional than we are, because it's still just me running the thing. And we have a Discord channel of about 1,500 members. And all of this came from me just not wanting to fire up DigitalOcean over and over again. And it turned into this whole thing where, now we've got, where did I put it? Here it is. Today, we've got 12,000 users on Pocket Host and about 15,000 instances running. And, in any given 24-hour period, there's about 1,000 unique instances of Pocket Base that run on Pocket Host. So So it's growing up, right? And then I went back to trying to build apps again. I was like, okay, I solved my hosting problem, back to building apps. The very next thing I hit was another technical problem about how I personally prefer to build apps. And so I created this other thing called Pocket Pages. It's not nearly as popular because it only applies to a subset of Pocket-based users. But Pocket Pages is kind of like PHP for Pocket-based, if any of you know what PHP is. So I created that to solve another personal problem. And then eventually people started complaining like, hey, your one server running on DigitalOcean is slow. Like if they're around the world somewhere, it's slow. It only resides in, you can see it's here in San Francisco. So somebody around the world doesn't have good speed. So now we're getting into optimization, right? Like the service works, but people are saying it's slow. So I went over to this other hosting provider called fly.io, and they're a company where you can start up servers all around the world. And I created a bunch of servers all around the world where, I have, there are some in America, but I mean, you can see all the flags here, right? There are just all these different locations where these servers reside. And the only point of their existence is to give people a closer server to connect to. And the map, if you're curious, looks like this, where all these dots are Pocket host access points running all around the world, and they all access this one central server still in San Francisco. We're still just running on one server in San Francisco, but we have all these access points that make it faster for people to access it around the globe because they don't have to go through the public internet to get over there. So like this gets really, as it grows, it gets more technical, right? And you have to learn all this stuff. I didn't know any of this stuff when I started. And just to kind of give you a sample, what's whizzing by right now, this is the live traffic on Pocket Host. And so I can see that people are accessing from Singapore and France and everywhere. And so this is just people using the service. So kind of interesting how it's grown. It's taken on a life of its own. And this whole effort to scale it, right, where we still have to hop back to this one central server, that's a problem. If that server goes down, everybody dies. And it happens sometimes. So I want to make it so that each of these is running independently. Well, so that was another technical problem, right? So then now I find this post by Cloudflare that's saying they have simple, scalable global containers coming to Cloudflare. And I'm like, that's what I need. That's what I've been trying to build on my own. So I contacted Cloudflare and I asked them, can I get in on your private beta? I have these 15,000 users and all these instances of Pocketbase, and I need to run them in containers globally. This sounds perfect. And they let me into their private beta. So then I started playing with that private beta and posting on X a lot. And I just wanted to show you guys my most popular post ever is 207,000 impressions because Peter Levels reposted it. And it was really just his sort of sphere of influence. It turned out that I didn't actually get a lot of engagement from this on my own. So it sort of looks artificially important, but not a lot of users actually followed up and did anything with this post. And so I thought that was interesting. Like, I was like, I've gone viral, and it's like, no, not really. Somebody big reposted me, but it wasn't something that other people independently felt was worth, promoting. So my real post that I would consider sort of viral for my size, which is like 500 followers, is this one where I say I've gotten persistent storage working on Cloudflare. And another one below that is Cloudflare again. And then here's one that's about the vibe coding, the vibe jam, 3D stuff. But here's another one, Cloudflare 16,000. And this one's only 3-4 days old, something like that. And it's already got half of the impressions and engagement of the most popular one that I achieved independently that took a month. So there's something going on here with building an admin dashboard for this Cloudflare stuff. So now I'm into building this admin dashboard, and all of that led to the CTO of Cloudflare saying, okay, how about this? Come do developer relations for us and live in Reno. So like I've actually gotten like a job offer from Cloudflare just from trying to build my own game so long ago, right? And just kind of following through this path of continuing to solve my own technical problems. And that's how this dashboard came about too. It was like, okay, well, I'm trying to use this Cloudflare stuff, but there's no way to manage any of it. I don't have any visibility into the data that I'm putting into it and everything like that, which is exactly the same problem that Pocketbase solved a few years ago, where they have this nice administrative dashboard where you can manage all of your data and everything. So here I am doing the same thing with Cloudflare, sort of accidentally, but I keep running into problems as I try to build something. So I guess sort of my demo today is if you're having trouble finding a problem, build something and then just notice what problems it's creating for you as you're trying to build it, because that is probably something real that other people are experiencing. And that's the end of my demo.
I love that, Ben. I think there's that thing that we always say in here that action creates information. I think that's something that Adam had shared before, and like I've noticed in my own journey of building things, the more I build, the more ideas I get, because it's always like, oh, this is really annoying. Someone should solve this, and I'm like, wait, maybe that someone should be me. I'm not trying to solve anything quite as complicated as what you're doing, but like, yeah, the more I do, the more ideas I have for other things to do, and it just like, yeah, it just snowballs.
Yeah, well, and that's what we were before this session started. We were talking about vibe roasts, and there was, a technical problem within vibe roasts that you had to solve.
Yeah,
And it's what I notice about that, because of this pattern that I've experienced, is like maybe people want vibe roasts, maybe they don't. But this technical problem that you hit while you were trying to solve for vibe roasts, that is something that's definitely real. And probably there are other people who want that one. So yeah, I think if you don't have a validated problem, try to build something and
yeah,
notice what gets in your way. And those are probably things that are happening to other people too.
yeah. And they always say on Twitter that B2B is much easier than B2C.
Yeah, I hear that. And I personally, I think there's maybe another category of developer to developer. It feels more, I don't know, just that kind of, one-on-one type, hey, look at what I built just by myself, that indie hacker kind of
Yeah,
feel. To me, that feels different than like trying to sell something to Salesforce,
yeah,
B2B. So yeah, but I don't want to take up a bunch of time here. I know we have a lot to get through. So
okay. Any questions for Ben before we move on?
So are you actually selling this to those, like all those users that were using your Pocketbase thing? Like, are they paying for it yet, or is this something that you plan to, like? Sounds like you could charge for this.
Oh
Like,
yeah, now I do charge for it. I should have pulled that up actually. Yeah, I mean it's got MRR now, so I went through and probably for like the first 6 months or a year or something like that, I just paid the server bill myself and just let people use it. And there wasn't any strategy to that. It was actually mostly like, I don't want to charge for it because I don't want to be responsible for anything, that I don't want people to depend on it that way. Right. So it was just kind of like, it's here. If you want to use, I'm using it, you can use it, but I don't want to charge for it because I don't want you to think that I'm supporting it for you in any kind of way. But eventually the users were like, hey, this is really good. And you should do something with this. So I I did this lifetime deal thing, like $400 or something for a lifetime deal, or 300. It was $300, and I just said, well, I've got 100 of these. I'll sell 100 of these, and they sold out in like 2 days. So I raised $30,000 in 2 days from selling these lifetime things. And these founders are like, they're just fanatical about it. They that's the reason they bought it, was just like, I want to be in on this Pocket host thing that's happening, because I can spin up as many instances of Pocket Base as I want. I can create, as many projects as I need to until I find the one that hits. Because that's pretty much who's using Pocket Host, is just other people like me who are like, well, I'm just trying to make things until I find something that works. So they liked the idea of, hey, if I want 100 instances of Pocket Base for 100 different little projects that I work on, here's a lifetime deal. I buy it once, and I can make as many as I want. And then I sold another round of those, another 200 or 300 of those, or something like that. So in total, I've probably raised about $100,000 of lifetime deal money, and then I switched over to this $5 a month paywall, where it's $5 per instance, and I get like a few signups every day on that. So I'd say revenue's growing by $10 or $15 a day. it's not great, but it's it's enough to sustain the thing and pay the server bill, and keep the lights on.
That's amazing.
Yeah, indeed.
I would just say there's something very, very like go with the flow, woo way about this whole story too. Like, you didn't force something. You just naturally went with the flow and found a problem not very organically. I think that's a really, really cool story for that reason.
Yeah, can I just quickly comment that that specific thing, Morgan, you mentioned is, I think that is actually the indicator that you're onto something. And a lot of time we kind of, there's this trick, like, it's very obvious when you have a thing that works, because it's like your users were telling you, Ben, hey, this is worth something, you should charge for it. It's not the other way around. It's not like overdetermined where we're like, hey, I'm going to charge for this thing because I want to make money, right? And so I think that's just like just an interesting observation about finding traction. Like it just kind of comes to you.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and it is a wandering path, Morgan, and that's why I kind of wanted to present that today, because I was in the last batch as well, and I didn't really feel successful at like building a new thing. I picked something to build, but it was kind of like, I don't know, it fell apart halfway through, and I see that happening to other people as well. And I thought, well, what's different here? Like, what happened with Pocket Host? And maybe I should be trying more of that path instead. And that path was to kind of keep in mind that whatever I think I'm building is not the real thing. It's the problem search engine. Whatever, so I'll just pick something to build, and that's my search engine to find a real problem. And like even this Cloudflare admin thing that I just built, people are finding that valuable, but actually, as I'm building it, I'm noticing that there are some other deficiencies that are sort of more fundamental. So again, it's happening where it's like, okay, well, these are actual problems. Like, I'm trying to build something on Cloudflare and I'm hitting these walls. Well, maybe I can solve those, and maybe that turns into something. So I just thought maybe that would be valuable for people to hear a different way to find problems, because I think a lot of us get stuck on that, and I know I do, so.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome approach. I think people should try that for themselves if they're just starting and struggling. I think in the interest of time, let's move on. I think Charlie's here now, so Charlie, if you want to share your screen.
Hey, so I'm not connected on my computer yet, so
Oh, you're not ready. Okay.
Not right now, but I might let someone else go before me.
Okay, Jeff, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys. Let me get my screen.
How's your tooth feeling? Better?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, much. Thank you. Where is Arc? Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Let me know when you guys can see it.
Got it.
All right, cool. So actually, because of what Ben said, the reason I built Who Covers It in the first place is because of the fact that I was facing a problem personally as a PR professional and agency owner, trying to help my clients understand who were the best journalists that that we should be reaching out to on their behalf, and who should they be contacting, who should they be pitching, figuring out what the best angles for the pitch are by doing research about what they've written about, what these journalists have written about in the past and are currently writing about. And the reason I built Who Covers It was to solve those things. So I do feel those pain points, and I do think that building based on your own personal pain points is always a really good model, especially if you've been doing in the space for a while and these are things that are near and dear to you. So what the key thing I built a couple things. I built this search engine part for news and journalists. So if you could see, this is the first thing. I'll just show you this. This is not the main thing, but WWDC. So if you do like a little quick search, you can pull up a quick result in terms of what's happening in the news currently. These are some recent headlines by and who wrote them. So it gives you an idea of like what's going on in the space. This was something I built a couple months ago and have had it on the Who Covers It site. Is just kind of a tool for people to use, and you can share these results with other people. It copies the link. You can export them. It's super easy to share them with the all the details for like who wrote the article, where it was published, stuff like that. You can hide results to just specific things, whatever. Anyway, what I recently launched is this thing called research, and the idea behind research is making it, as I said, easier to find the journalists to pitch your stories to. And this is important for a number of reasons. One, you want to make sure that when you're pitching a journalist, that they're actually a journalist who covers that beat or topic, something that what you're building, that they actually would be interested in even writing about it or talking about it. So that's important. That's number one. Number two is like when you reach out to journalists, there's some things you shouldn't do, and one of them is spray and pray, which is basically when you mass email or mass communicate to journalists about a pitch that you have, and you're just sending them your press release, and you're not really writing anything personalized or anything like that. So we want to get away from that, and this is what Who Covers It lets you to do. So right off the bat, when you log in, you're on your research page. You can do a couple different things. You can start a quick selection, super easy to. We've created these quick collections as ways to get started easily, and you can see kind of here. There's a little description of what each one is. You can see there's a query that can be created using Boolean or just natural language. You can even include specific domains you want included in the results if it can pull that as well. So easily you can just hit create. You could just hit the button to create the collection. I'll just do this for the sake, so just to show it off. So once it creates, then you can access it. You can see a little toast notification at the bottom. Here it is. Here's what each collection looks like. And from here, you can do specific queries to pull up information. So for example, I've run one already because just in the interest of time. So going back to WWDC, we wanted to see under the tech journalists what we call these collections, as I mentioned. So with journalists covering WWDC 2025, or who's doing this? Or we got Bradley from Mobile Syrup. You might have be familiar with that website. You got MacTrust, The Verge, IDG, which is a huge kind of collection of sites, Apple World Today. You can see that the names, the email addresses, ways to get in touch with them, digital trends. If you click on one of them, it brings up a little profile. You get some more information about where they're writing. This relevance score, we're going to turn into a who covers it score, which is going to be kind of like how relevant they are to what you're querying, what you want to pitch them. So that'll be actually quite helpful. Planning on adding social capabilities, like links like to their Twitter and their LinkedIn, or their X and their LinkedIn, for example. You can get some information about, you know, their title there, where they're from. You can even send an email directly from this. It'll just pull up your email app. Eventually, I'd like to build an outreach into it using AI technology, so that way it will help personalize and write the messages to the journalists, and then you can edit them as you see fit, and also build a relationship with them through our dashboard with stats and stuff like that. So that's the you can see Macworld, Roman, Loyola, Nicholas, Furno. So you get all this information. You can then export again to CSV if you want to create like a mail merge on your own. You can even do this cool thing where we do save research, and it'll save it to the research selection, which I'll bring up right here. So you can see there's you can, and then if you click one of these, it'll bring it up and it will reinitiate the search, so you can pull up the results again if you didn't save the CSV. But what's even cooler and probably even more helpful, as I mentioned, is the research angle of all of this. So so as we just looked at the collection search, and we found a bunch of contact points in terms of people we should be reaching out to, then if you go to the AI research assistant, that's where research gets really interesting. So see what journalists are journalists that are covering WWDC 2025 and what they're saying. So here's great insight. Malcolm Owen from Apple Insider discusses expectations for lighter than normal WWDC, indicating there won't be significant upgrades to Apple Intelligence. Demonstrate the company is still far from being a leader in AI, smaller scale, etc., etc. You can get the sources. And then there's also these key highlights, which I love. Super helpful when it comes to working on pitches for a journalist. The upcoming WWDC, as it just said, is expected to be smaller, etc. Lack of major Apple updates in terms of intelligence. And then we have these suggested queries, which are great. By the way, you can also save this as well as the collection search data. If clicking on these doesn't do anything yet, but what it will essentially just bring up the query in these specific collections that you searched. So here we're searching specifically tech journalists and business journalists, but you could add another type of journalist and then redo the search. But what you'll notice is after you run these searches, it actually makes it super helpful that you get these little blue dots indicating that there's something going on here, because these were the collections that we just searched. So if you want a list of additional journalists reporting on WWDC, you can click on that and then run the search, and it'll start running the search, and it'll pull that up. So we make researching super easy. We make it easy to find out what journalists are talking about, how they're talking about it, how you should think about pitching it, and then finding the actual journalist you should be pitching with that information. And that's pretty much the breakdown and the demo. I mean, there's lots of cool little things that here and there, but those are the two key features, and I'm really excited about it. The feedback we've gotten so far has been positive, and also very, very helpful. You know, even Stefan's vibe roast was super helpful to me in terms of like thinking about the marketing page a little bit more and like the copy on it. And I think there's some serious things, you know, improvements we can make there, but also in terms of the product, like hearing that, you know, people really wanted an export CSV feature in collection search, where we're at right now, what we're showing on the screen. Was I knew was a thing, but I just didn't build it out at first. And then when people were talking about it as we were getting feedback, it became apparent that I needed to build that out as soon as possible. So this is helpful, and also having done side by sides comparisons for who covers it versus, let's say, Muckrack, for example, or even Meltwater or Cision, which are the three kind of big players in this space right now. And frankly, all of them are pretty shit. And the side-by-side comparison with Muckrack was just like night or day. It was crazy. Like they had, like we had super targeted results of, like, 25, 30 people a journalist who would be good to reach out to. And they had and they were all targeted, like in space. Like we were testing with a space query for space journalists. And they had so like real estate journalists who were saying that some company just moved into a new space. Like it's crazy different. We are so much better than these guys. In fact, I guess I was making enough noise about it that one of the VPs from Meltwater, one of our competitors, followed me on Twitter a couple days ago. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Happy to take questions or pass it to the next person.
Yeah, I have some questions, Jeff. I guess you mentioned you're building alongside your users and you're getting feedback from them. Is that right?
Yeah.
How many users do you have now?
We probably, let me see. I think where is it? We have like 10, like I said. I mean, it's 10 people who have been testing it, and we're talking to a few more. So, people always are like, it's funny when you're doing this stuff. There was like, yeah, I'd love to test it out. I'm just kind of swamped right now, so circle back to me. So we're like, it's always like a song and dance when it comes to that stuff. But I'm hopeful that we'll get a bunch more people on board and testing it out.
I think 10 is a really good start. Like getting those first 10, I think is really hard to do. And I think, like, I guess I was going to ask you how you're marketing it, but now thinking about it, like, if I were in your shoes, what I would do is like make sure that this works amazingly for those 10, like that your product works really good for what people need it for. And then understand what the kind of people that are using it, and then like target more of those people once you know what kind of people are using it, what they're using it for, and that it works really well for them. Like that would be the logical thing to do if I were in your shoes, rather than like trying to market it to more people before you know who those people are and if it's working well for the people that are using it.
So the people that I've been reaching out to and trying to get also to use it are in the same industry. They're a lot. The earliest people I reached out to are the PR professionals and agencies, because that's where I've seen the most clear use case, if that makes sense. Considering that was my own use case. So I've reached out to those types of people first, and because I know it's definitely going to be helpful for them. What I am curious about, and which I haven't done as much marketing or outreach for yet, is from a founder perspective, if this would be something that founders would find useful as they're looking to bring their product to market and they want to develop relationships with journalists or people who can talk about their product in the public sphere. So that's where I'm at.
Jeff, yeah. I have actually a suggestion there that might be helpful, because I think I'd imagine the challenge there is like, how do you get to reach the founder when they need this product? And to me, that the time that they need it is probably just before or just after a fundraise. And what I would think would make like one shorthand way to do this is like maybe approaching like a VC company and asking them to kind of be the channel between their portfolio companies and your products, just because they have access to a lot of founders in their portfolio, and they're aware of all of the fundraising events that would, like, think about it, like when the company raises money, like what's the first thing they do? They contact journalists and say like, hey, here's the raise details. Like they call TechCrunch and all these companies, right? There could just be a simple like, hey, I help people do that much easier, right? Help your companies do that, but also I can help them like get their product, like get details of that to the right companies to position the product, not just like a fundraising update, right? So that might be an interesting thing to explore.
That is actually a really interesting perspective, and one I hadn't fully considered actually. And yeah, I'm gonna look into that.
I would also make a suggestion, fractional CMOs, because I've worked with a bunch, and yeah, they'll just like to have things like that up there in their toolkit, right? Like of things they can offer, like if they're advising, because sometimes those are the people that end up as sort of a yes and to what you're saying, Adam. But like very often a fractional CMO will be the one advising an early stage startup on how to get something out there, and that's just like, at least in my experience, that's how it shook out when you're.
That's super helpful too, Morgan. I hadn't even thought of fractional CMOs at all, and I could see that being a big help actually. So thanks.
Well, it's easier to get them on the phone than a VC. Like, I will say that.
Totally.
VCs are notoriously difficult. Like if you ever tried to get those guys on a call, they ignore most of the messages they get. Some of them will talk to you though.
Hey Jeff, I had some thoughts too, and this kind of goes back to like the initial conversation I was having with you. So when I look at your site, I immediately disqualify myself because I'm not a PR professional, and the words on your site don't make sense to somebody like me. And you just kind of mentioned you were talking about founders, and that got me realizing like I'm even smaller than, I mean, you guys are talking about, founders with venture backing. I think there are indie hackers out there too, which is that's the category of founder I'd put myself in. And I don't know how to do any of this stuff, right? So like a product for somebody like me would have to be really handheld, like almost conversational, like with like what's your product? What are you trying to do? Okay, here are your recommendations for like how to reach people, who to reach, how often, like just the whole thing that a professional PR person would already know how to do and already understand. I don't know any of that stuff. So like when I see your product, I think it feels really important to me that I have some way to get the word out about what I'm doing and why it might matter and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know how to do it. And so that's just like one perspective, and maybe that's not even something to really focus on, or I don't know how much of a market there is, but that's what I immediately noticed for myself is like, ooh, I want this, but I have no idea how to use it, and like what a campaign is and all that kind of stuff.
That's really interesting feedback actually, Ben. And so when I originally built it, it was just a little chat bot, and kind of worked it didn't work like you're talking about, but that was the idea, was that it would at some point. And I think being able to chat with it would be helpful. I in terms of the way we currently have it built, or I currently have it built. That would be a whole separate project to bring a kind of a chat interface to this, but I'm not going to rule it out, because I do think that there's certainly value there. I just don't know right out of the gate if that's where I need to spend my time at the moment.
Yeah, I think what I would say again, Jeff, is like the people that you already have, like make sure it works for them, because there's probably more people like that you can then go find. And then all these other things, like, yeah, there might be things that you build in the future, and I think Ben's idea might be something interesting to explore. But right now you haven't attracted those kinds of people, so it's like it's hard to know whether or not that's a good path to go down. Because like on the one hand, I can see how it can be useful to indie hackers that are making money. Like I know Peter Levels has used news in the past. I don't know if he did it intentionally or if they just found him. But on the other hand, like the majority of indie hackers are broke and have no money. So like, and maybe are not shipping products. So like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they would be using a tool like this because I'm assuming you're going to want to charge for it at some point as well.
Yeah, I actually started working on the pricing just yesterday. We're gonna do something free, a free kind of freemium thing where you get like super limited searches with a limited kind of email access and no access to the AI assistant, the AI research assistant. But then we're gonna start pricing at 40, I believe, like $49 a month. And then we're gonna, for our plus tiers, what we're gonna call it, and then 199 for the pro tier, which has far more you know, numbers you could, searches and collections and things you can do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would also consider, if I were you, I would consider a lifetime deal like Ben did. I think I personally have a strong aversion to monthly subscriptions because then I have to remember to cancel them when I no longer need them. But if somebody presents me with a lifetime deal, like I'm really tempted, and like I end up buying those way more often than I buy subscriptions.
Maybe I can offer those to some of the earliest people who are on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, Jeff.
Thank
Let
you.
us know how that goes. Let's move on to Charlie. Are you ready to present now?
Yeah, I'm ready to present if you'd like me to.
All right, go for it.
So here's just a small piece of what I've been working on. So this is my Pixelmator Pro document for the Conman game we've been working on. So I just used a bunch of these little layers to make all of the art. As far as the borders, I have the normal borders, and I have this gold border. I might change the color of that later, but I have a gold border for a special version of the cards that you're able to obtain. And in here, you have...
Charlie, can you back up and explain, because people don't know what you're doing in the audience. Can you explain what it is that you've been working on, and maybe then get into the designs?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So what I've been working on during these last few weeks is I've been preparing for an upcoming gaming convention called RageCon, and a big part of that was making a game called Conman, which is going to be like a massively multiplayer card game based around obtaining item cards and trading them with other people throughout the course of the con in order to get entered into a raffle to win prizes just from my company, right? So I'm hoping the game will just be able to bring attention to my booth overall. So yeah, I've been trying to make an experience that people would like for the convention. So that's what Conman is. And then other than that, I've just been preparing like updates to my logo, schematics for the booth, ordering tables, tablecloths, stuff like that. So what I'm showing you guys right now is the digital version of Conman that I'm going to send to a printer later, like within the next few days. So that's what I've been doing.
You want to explain how Conman works?
Sure. So the way Conman works here, I'll reveal the back of the card for now. Sorry.
So just a picture, like show your website too.
Okay. So the way Conman works is every day you would come to my booth and I would deal you 3 cards from the deck of item cards, and you're able to get, and each card is able to be one of 11 different types of cards. And one of those types of cards is more rare because that card is the Conman card, and it will act as a wild. After that, you're attempting to trade the cards with other players and approach me by the end of the day with a set of 3 matching cards. And when you do, you'll get an entry into the raffle. If you approach me with a set of more than 3, that's extra entries. And if you approach me with one of the special gold cards that you're able to obtain by playtesting a game at my booth with me, you get dealt a gold card if you do that. If you approach me with one of those as well as a set of 3, you will get an extra entry. So Conman, I designed it to be very, very simple, just because it's not useful to try to teach 500 people how to play a game. So you want to keep it really simple, or at least until I figure out how to correctly pull it off. So Conman is going to be somewhat of an experiment to see if people enjoy this type of game.
Yeah, that's really cool. Do you have like a website or anything to show for your?
I do. Here, let me pull up the website. So here's the website right now. I haven't uploaded any of the more recent pages yet, but I've been working on them. So here on the front page, I have my memberships that I'm offering. I've kind of taken a bit from my dad with the Lifetime Founder, about the same price, and you get 6 games per year, 50% off all of my games. Past that 6. Discord ranks, Discord access, printable PDFs. So there are, so those are the ranks I have for this. And then I have and then just later on my homepage, I just have this. It goes over my latest games, and then I have like a little bio. Up here, you're able to, this is the homepage, and then you're able to open up the games. You have my cookout, my blip, and then I'm going to upload 3 more games before the con. And then you're able to go to my memberships page, and that takes you to my Polar checkout link, because Polar is the place I run the subscriptions.
Okay. If you want, I can pass this through Vibros, see what it says. It's more trained on websites.
Yeah. There's a lot that I know could definitely be fixed. I'd really like to update the UI of the website, especially because I made it on a website software called Publi, and it's just a free software. It works, like it does the job, but I definitely like to update the website UI. So yeah, I might take you up on the offer to run it through Vibros.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
It's not a great website, but I have it.
The important part is to start, and then you can refine. Yeah, and to give people a bit more context, so Charlie is actually building like in real life games, not digital games. He's actually our first participant that's doing in real life products. And we weren't quite sure when he joined, like if we would be able to offer value to him in Vibe Combinator, because so far we had been focused on digital products. But what we found is like similar rules apply, or not rules, but similar like guidance applies to building in real life products as digital products, in that like you need to validate quickly. You need to, I guess, test with real people. and you need to run small experiments. And I think Charlie is doing all of that. Like literally everything that he's doing is running experiments with people. He just has to do it in real life. That's his distribution. But I think like there's also the social media links at the top, which I'm guessing is where you post about these games and get traffic, right?
Yeah, so that's the plan. I really haven't been posting much. I'm planning on focusing on that a lot more before the convention, because I've been trying to get all of the physical goods in order, so I'm actually able to have them before the convention.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is the one extra challenge of physical is like the actual act of getting the physical stuff, which
Like there's a delay I need to account for between the time
right.
I ship something and by the time I have it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Any questions for Charlie?
I have a quick question. So in terms of your like your full Discord access with the different roles and all this stuff that's included with each purchase, do you have like a way of automating this? Because otherwise I feel like it'd be very time and intensive to roll all this stuff out to each individual person.
so there is a way of automating it. I'm able to give Puller access to my Discord server and add a Discord invite link to the Puller checkout. So once you check it out, Puller is able to automatically add the user's account to the server if they supply Puller with their Discord user.
Gotcha.
It's a very similar way to the way Patreon can do it. Like you just add the Puller bot to the Discord server.
What about in terms of like the shipping and of the actual like cards and the games and stuff like because I mean I guess because that would be like for me one of the biggest things would be fulfillment of when people buy stuff and making sure that everyone gets what they're supposed to get and that's all set up.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
No. So I was just that's why I was asking about my question, like how have you thought about this, or what kind of tools have you put in place to help with that?
Yeah. So as far as the Discord access, Puller just does that. And then I don't have so Polar is able to tell me the amount of people I have in any of these memberships, but it's not able to automatically, like, I don't know how to automate shipping the decks and stuff. And then at least for physical product fulfillment, I'm just using Etsy for that as a merchant of record.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I would it'd just be something I would think about, because as you kind of grow this, right, you're going to want to make it a way to make it easier for yourself to scale it. And since you're dealing with physical products, physical goods, just something to keep in mind, especially.
Yeah, it's going to be something I need to learn, and probably a lot more. I'm probably going to need to learn it a lot more independently than I've learned a lot of other stuff before, because I don't know anyone who specializes in fulfillment of physical goods.
The beautiful thing about where we are right now in the world is that you have access to ChatGPT and other AIs. So definitely just ask questions. Be like, I have no idea what I'm doing and I need help kind of figuring out how to fill these orders. What kind of tools and systems can I implement? Type of thing.
Yeah, that's where I would start.
Yeah, so probably my largest current limitation for the fulfillment of the physical goods is so there are two big limitations. Is number one, I don't have any type of shop that they can just shop with me for. I just have an Etsy shop, which I think it'll work, but at the same time, it means there's no reason to go through the website if you want to buy one of my games, right? And then my other like biggest barrier is every notable game printer. If you want to get it at if it like every notable card printer or board game printer, if you want to get a usable price break out of them, you need to order like 200 copies of the game at a time. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to be able to do with these memberships is I'm hoping that this money will be able to recycle back into printing games and actually having bulk for games to ship out to people, because currently I need a back order of give or take 200 copies to ship it to people. Otherwise, it's just not sustainable to be able to print them.
That's interesting.
Well, and
Adam,
that's kind of your founder lifetime strategy too, right, Charlie? Is like if you can sell enough of those lifetime deals up front, you can fund yourself to do a few print runs.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I wonder, Adam, do you have a similar challenge with print board? Because that's supposed to be printed as well, right?
What specifically? I didn't quite catch the issue.
The issue is like getting enough scale to print cheaply.
No, I use print on demand. I can help you look into that. In your case, I don't think it makes sense, but print on demand might make sense just to start, just to get the initial like set of customers. But in my case, I use print on demand services. So there's Printful, Printly. There's another, I think, called Gelato or something like that.
Gelato.
Yeah, yeah. But the way these work is, and my prints are probably much simpler than yours. Mine are posters, and there's a lot of poster-based printing infrastructure out there. Like I can walk into any print shop in the world and give them a file, and they'll print it off with, there are most print shops are already set up to do that because so many posters are so popular, right? But like I don't know how standard and common your specific prints are. So if they're like little cards or whatever, I don't know. But we can chat offline. If it's getting the cost down, maybe I can help.
yeah, no. So I've been looking into stuff like that, and really the only place that's able to do the print on demand for the card games that I need printed is this place I've already been using called Make Playing Cards. But even before I was losing money on printing them. But now with the tariffs, it's like $40 to get a single copy of a game.
Wow.
Like $40 to $45 to get a single copy of a game shipped. And
Because they're printed in China?
No, they're printed in the US. I have no clue why the tariffs affect it, but no, their brand is that they're an all US company, so
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't know. They just they just added a tariff charge to the receipts. Maybe they source resources from China.
Charlie, I had a wild idea. Maybe you can do like your dad and solve the problem that you're running into of the printing instead of the problem you started to solve.
So see, that's something I have thought about. I recently I have been talking to my family about just getting a cardstock printer and being able to print for myself.
Yeah.
That could be cool. And then I would just actually own a game publishment firm.
Yeah, well, and then I watch all the time that you put into actually designing your cards, and it makes me want to create a cards design tool that has a little ship to me button on it.
The ideas are just coming.
Yeah.
I do
Hey,
think
Charlie,
there's a lot of like cool business models like that. Like, I mean, I just within the same concept as printboard, I can think of a few different ones where it's just like you create something and then you press print and then someone prints it off for you. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. I think there is there are like a lot of applications of that. Charlie, I had one sort of, maybe it's kind of maybe it'll sound scary or whatever, but since we're doing all of this ahead of anybody actually placing an order for a card, except friends and family,
Right.
it feels like we're stacking up a lot of assumptions and maybe setting ourselves up for like a big disappointment when we go to the con and we try out all these ideas and it just doesn't work for some reason, which happens to a lot of people. And I'm curious, like, what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it, and I kind of came to the conclusion that like I don't know how much mitigation of that I can do. Like I'm not coming in with the assumption that anything I'm doing will succeed, but yeah, like I just don't know how much I can mitigate failure, especially not without limiting success.
So I think, Charlie, like, not knowing too much about this, my first thought is the best way to, like, it's hard to mitigate failure, but like the best way to like improve quickly and increase chances of success and decrease chances of failure is to iterate quickly and to run experiments quickly. So like the faster that you can run experiments on the games that you're building, the faster you get feedback, the faster you can update or do something else. So I know that's difficult with in real life things, especially like if you're trying to center it around a conference, which doesn't happen frequently. But I wonder if there's other ways, like to Ben's question of, I guess, learning those things quickly. So whether you can like play test them with people in the community somehow, or online somehow.
Yeah, so that's what I've been like. That's the idea I had with a Discord channel and this $9.99 a month playtester tier. You get PDF copies of all of the games, 20% off of all of my games, and even just I'm going to let people into the Discord for free, but like certain things will be limited to people who don't have memberships with me. But I'm hoping to just be able to have some type of Discord community that I'm able to reference ideas with, and then an actual community of playtester, like a subset of playtesters within that, who actually care about it and want to try out the games I'm making and give me feedback on them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the one thing is unclear to me is like why people would pay to help you play test.
Yeah, that's something I realized when I said it. Yeah.
Anyway, something for you to consider, but I think that strategy makes sense of like having a community that you can test with, and then like you can iterate more quickly than waiting for in real life events.
Yeah, definitely, and I would still be going to the in real life events because I do think they'll be the most effective medium to reach people,
Yep.
especially if I'm selling physical goods.
Yep, makes sense. Cool. Well, let us know how that goes. That's in a few weeks, right?
Yeah, that's at the end of this month.
Nice. Okay. I think in the interest of time, we'll just move on to Giannis.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Charlie. Giannis, do you want to? Oh, there it is. Okay. And unmute yourself. Here, I'll unmute you. I can't unmute you. Giannis, you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
There it is. Yeah.
Great. My name is Yanis. I am a software engineer, and this is my second batch with Combinator. I joined Combinator because I was looking for accountability and for a way to having a pressure for building my projects. And I knew it would help me build and ship my apps more effectively. I believe that having a clear timeline and concrete goals will boost my productivity and motivation, and that's exactly what it did. To begin with, in my first batch, I went from idea to prototype as fast as possible, and during that process, the process itself taught me a lot. One key takeaway was that building something alongside with other people is at least 4 times more productive than building alone. Also, one important lesson that I have learned was that validating an idea before building it is a very crucial step and probably one of the most important during the whole process. Regarding my idea on the previous batch,
Are you sharing your
to,
screen, Giannis?
yes. Can you see?
I just see black screen.
Oh, one moment. Now? Yes.
There it is.
Great. You can see it now. Great. Okay. To continue, regarding my idea on the previous batch, I decided to do some research on Google and Reddit about it. And the main idea was about creating a Twitter X app that could help you make posts with the help of AI from an image caption from your desktop. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to validate through this process by doing some research. So I tried another thing. I tried to create a validation form and try to approach people on Twitter by direct messaging them and asking about their help and asking them questions relevant to my product idea, and also asking them if they would like to fill up this form. Though I only received a few replies, but for the replies I received, I understood that everyone was approaching the problem differently. So this got me thinking that validation is not so simple and is a crucial step before spending days or even months developing an idea. And this would save me a tremendous amount of time and would also help me increase the chances of success. During the last 5 years, I've launched 3 products that failed because of this exact reason. And to conclude, for this batch, I've decided to build an app that does exactly that. It helps you refine and validate your ideas before you even start building them. So at first, I thought that I should approach this idea by creating a complicated application that would include 5 phases, as you can see here, where in the phase one you input your idea and the app captures your initial idea and then conducts an automated diagnostic, which then presents an analysis of strengths, weaknesses, and various challenges. Then in the next phase, the AI would try to enhance and refine the idea with the help of the user by addressing specific challenges that the AI would present to the user. And continue to step three, the app would use a tool to research discussions on Reddit around this idea and then execute a real world validation, such as gathering feedback. Also, in the fourth phase, I thought that a nice idea would be to create a type of validation form. The user can create a type of validation form from which he could share to real people in order to get real feedback and then use this data inside the app that in order to get feedback and use AI to refine his idea based on those and this feedback. Now, the problem with this approach, though it's something that it's very promising, I think it's an idea that's becoming too big to develop, and at the same time, it's hard to make AI work correctly without receiving real feedback from users. So, guys here from Vibe Combinator help me understand that as a first version, I should create a smaller version of the application where a human expert and a human expert gets in between the user and the AI, and it would focus more on phase one and two, where the user can refine his idea as a first step. That process, I think it would help to understand how people approach their idea and how they tackle their challenges or problems before AI tries to do it for them. So, for now, I have created this early form of the application where, for example, here we can add an idea that we want to refine. Let's say we want this idea, which is I found a simple idea from the internet, which is a habit tracking application. And then we click refine. Then AI does a simple estimation of a score that has these metrics. The one is problem clarity, market size, uniqueness, technical feasibility, business model, etc. These are rough, let's say, metrics that are going to be used or not. We will see. In order to refine and enhance the idea. So here we can log in inside the application. Great. And we have this simple panel. It's a simple title and a description. Here the matrix. The metrics, yes. And for now, because of that, we have to validate first our approach that this can work correctly. So we have a chat component where a user can enter his messages, and instead of directly talking to AI, there is an agent. Apparently, it's me for now. That gets in between AI and the user in order to help him enhance and refine his idea. Here also you can add more projects, you can add more ideas, and this is the first part of the application. Yes, that's my presentation till now. Any questions?
I had some thoughts. I guess first off, I think it's really cool to see how open-minded you've been to people's feedback on your ideas. I think that's the first step towards like being able to experiment and try different things and fail fast. Because I think like I have encountered some builders and founders that like if you give them feedback or thoughts, they kind of like double down and they're like, no, I'm smarter than you. I'm not going to listen to you. And maybe some of them are, but like usually like if other people are telling you something and enough other people are telling you something and you don't listen to that, then that doesn't go well. But like you seem like when we gave you feedback, I think you took the feedback and you changed your approach, and you've done that multiple times now across two
That's
batches.
because that's because I've been in their place in the
Yeah.
past and I understood that position. Don't want to be in that place again.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I like your new approach of being in the middle. Because one thing that you said kind of stood out to me. You mentioned something along the lines of like the people that you've spoken to, everyone does idea validation differently. And to me, what that means is like, I guess I'm not sure if it's something that can be like automated to the extent that you're trying to do here. Maybe it can, maybe it can't, but like I think it's important for you to have those early conversations with customers like one-on-one or potential customers one-on-one, because then you'll start to see if there's patterns, you'll start to see if there's like particular pieces of their process that you can help them solve in a structured way. Or maybe you find that maybe there isn't like a formula, because like I think one of the things that I've been seeing a lot myself is like there doesn't seem to be a formula to success. I think the formula, if anything, is like just keep trying things and keep going and failing and learning. But yeah, I think like rather than investing more time in building something that looks nice but maybe doesn't solve the problem, I think like talking to people and understanding their problems is going to be super helpful, either to refine your product or to maybe you decide to do something else entirely, kind of like what Ben was talking about at the start of these demos. Like through the process of doing things, he came across other issues. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that, and thank you very much for your help about this matter.
No worries. Any questions for Giannis? One sec, somebody's asking. Somebody might have a question. I think Ethan's just asked where can we ask questions regarding demos. I thought that live chat should work, but maybe it's not working. It's actually been wonky today as well. Okay, we'll come back if there is a question that somebody wants to ask. Anyone on the call have a question for Giannis? Okay. So next up we have Sue.
a second. Okay, let me see the screen.
Okay, can see your screen. Go for it.
Cool. Yeah, mine will be quick because I kind of did this in the last demo as well, but added some small features. Still very buggy, but I'll go through it quickly. So the idea with building this app was I'm a coach and I've been working with clients, and one of the most pervasive problems seems to be procrastination, and people learn a lot about what to do in different situations, but they're not able to apply that in the moment when they feel like they're procrastinating. So this is sort of a directory of strategies to help you when you're stuck or any kind of stuck. So for example, this will help you kind of figure out what's at the root of your procrastination. Let's say, resistance is one of them, and then you try to narrow it down with specifically what kind of resistance it is. For example, this. For each situation, you get to play games that help you get out of the rut that you're in. So, for example, you choose this, you enter this information. This is all based on different psychological modalities to help you break out of whatever is keeping you stuck. And then you're done, and then you reflect, and it gets saved in your dashboard. So this is all old stuff, but what I tried to incorporate that looks very messy and kind of broken at the moment is focus sessions. And this is something that I wanted to build for myself because I've been using rescue time, but it kind of sucks and it doesn't have the functionality that I want. So with this feature, you can add focus sessions and it captures information like why something is important and your mood. And then when you finish a focus session, well, I'd have to start it now to show you the modal and what pops up when you reflect on it. But the idea is that during a focus, so my default flow has been start a focus session here. If I find that I'm procrastinating, play a game there, and then come back and reflect on what actually happened in my focus session. And then the goal is to kind of see over time, what was my target? What did I actually do? What was my reflection? What was my mood? That sort of thing. This is still, I think, still broken in many ways, but it is live. That's what I've accomplished in the last couple of weeks, making this live. So, I mean, you're free to test with the caveat that it's still very broken. So that's a little bit about my, and I'm apologize that I'm not ready for this demo, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
And last time you demoed, you mentioned you were gonna test this with some users. Were these new features based on what they wanted, or are you more solving your own problems?
The focus session was solving my own problem. I still haven't had time to set up those meetings with users yet, but I'm going to be meeting with one of them tomorrow. So I haven't added any other features, but focus sessions is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I couldn't find a solution myself. So maybe this should sit in another app, but I wanted to build it anyway. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I would recommend to pause on feature work until you get talking to customers. Like, it's good that you have potential customers to talk to. I think that's a big challenge when starting out. But pause and focus on talking to them to understand how useful this is to them, and if there's any refinements needed.
Yeah, I will. I might even take this out. I just really wanted to build it for me because I found that I needed this more than the actual procrastination games. So I might just take this out and put it somewhere else. I just put it in here for now because I didn't want to build a whole new thing for this. But yeah, I'll probably take it out. Or
no, I'm not
feedback.
recommending to take it out. I'm recommending not to do any more work. And like, you can test both. You can test this and your other procrastination games with customers who are interested in each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any questions for Sue? Okay. There was a question for you, Giannis. Let me just pull it up. So the question is multi-part. So the first part is if you could share how the values are calculated in that report about like the problem or idea scores. And then the second part of the question is, so there's a lot of people are worried about their precious ideas. Like you hear a lot of cases where some people are scared sharing their ideas or even force you to sign an NDA. For some of us who know that ideas are nothing and it's all about execution, that's okay. But for those users that really are guarding the ideas close to their chest and keeping them secret, I guess, how are you going to make them feel okay with your tool?
Yes, let's start with the first question.
Mhm.
First of all, these metrics are being calculated by AI, but as a reference, I use for each one of these metrics how well is defined each one of these metrics. Let's say, for example, when you type in your idea, how how do you define, for example, your target audience? If you define it in a very meaningful way inside your idea, then you could get a good score. If it's not defined at all, then it could get a bad score. But this is just a rough estimation for now. It would improve along the way as I develop the ideas and get real feedback. So I think it will improve more. Now, regarding the second question, first of all, I'll be using encryption about all the data. And because it's a tool that refines the idea for now, the goal of the idea is not to gather a list of ideas from people, is to take a rough idea and refine it to something meaningful for the user that is going to use it. It's not a tool that will take people's ideas. And for now, it might be free for the first 10 users, and I will be in the middle. But this is going to work only for improving the product. Later, it will be automatically being made by AI, and everything will be encrypted and protected with all the procedures that are required.
Okay. Thanks, Janis.
You're welcome.
All right. Looks like I'm the last one to go. Adam, his power is out and his phone died, so he dropped off, unfortunately. Yeah, I will share my update for this batch. And yes, it is okay. Yeah, so I think I demoed this last time, but it wasn't. I thought it was gonna work, but it didn't. It didn't work. I actually tried to roast. So VibRoast is a landing page or validation site roaster that is a man in the middle. So like I'm in the middle right now. All that happens when you submit this form is it populates, or what used to happen is it populated a Supabase database with like the info that you submit on this form, and then I would just take it and then grab the HTML of your site and go roast it. But when I was building it, I was testing it on this site itself, which is a really simple site. There's not much going on here. And then I had some submissions from Vibe Combinator members. So Jeff and Adam both requested a roast of their site. So I tried Who Covers It. And I found that if I copied the HTML plus CSS plus everything that's like rendered on the page when you inspect, it was like 40,000 tokens. And I tried to run that through 4.0 and it just started hallucinating. It was like, it did not know what it was roasting. So it just started making stuff up based on past chats that it's had with me. And honestly, I did not think of some people when I posted this on Twitter yesterday suggested that I should go and use Gemini. for the longer context windows. I did not think of that in the moment. I thought of, okay, well, I need to strip away all of the CSS and all the script from the HTML. And the people who suggested using Gemini didn't suggest until I actually finished building that yesterday. So what I ended up doing is I used Cloudflare scraping endpoint, which is free. Cloudflare really gives a lot of stuff for free. I don't know how they do this, but yeah, you just hit up this scraping endpoint, and it gives you, depending on what you ask for, it can give you either like the text content or it can give you the full HTML. And I played around with both, but what I found is when you get the text content, you kind of lose structure. You don't know which one is a header, which one is like what goes where kind of deal and in what order. So it's really hard to roast in that perspective. Some people suggested that I just take a screenshot of the site and roast that. But then when I was chatting with ChatGPT about that, the issue with doing something like that is like for some of these bigger, longer sites, um, when you take a screenshot of it, not only is it going to be a lot of tokens, but also the AI is going to get confused if there's too much going on the picture, and it's going to get lost. So I was like, okay, well, I'll start with content, and then maybe I'll enhance it with screenshots later. So I'll just feed it both. And the screenshot will be more of a visual guide, and the content will be separate. So I started building the content, and yeah, what I found was the best way to do it was to actually scrape the HTML, but then parse it to be like, okay, well, this is a header, this is footer, this is navbar, this is hero, whatever. And that ended up working pretty well. I actually ended up roasting both Jeff's, who covers it, and Adam's print board. And with the exception of it was trying to say like your visual style doesn't make sense, or it was saying like there's no demos, even though both sites had demos, just because all I was feeding it was text and it thought there was no demos. With the exception of those like kind of quirks, until I add screenshots, it actually worked pretty well. So I'll show you what it does. I will I will roast the Vibe Combinator website. I'm just doing test because I'll just delete this later, so I'm not using up a free spot. So right now it's just using the Cloudflare scraping endpoint via Supabase edge functions and scraping and pulling out the HTML. So it's captured the page. I'm just going to go to another screen to pull it out because there's some personal info in Supabase that I don't want to show. People's personal info. But again, pulled out this, and I will show you what this looks like. I'm going to copy it. Come here. I'm going to drop it. Yeah, so it kind of does something like this. Like obviously this looks ugly for a human, but an AI can read this JSON pretty easily and pretty well. And you can see like it has like, it just shows like starting from the top of the page. So like the very first, like it shows an order, Y ordering. From the top of the page, I have something like join next batch. And then like our H1 is launch your product in 2 weeks. And then there's something that says launch your product. And then we have like a paragraph tag under that, the batch community for Vibe coders, indie hackers, solo founders, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially it's just like taking this page. So like join next batch, launch your product in 2 weeks, this, and just all the way down. It takes all of that and it populates it into this JSON. And then I just feed this to ChatGPT 4.0 with a script or sorry, a system prompt for how I want the output. Yeah, and then it roasts it pretty well, I find. So yeah, that's what I worked on this batch. Maybe next I'll add screenshots, but in the next batch, I actually want to focus on an idea I have for the Bolt Hackathon. So I'll probably be working on that um, instead of updating this. Unless people want to use this, maybe then I'll do it. So yeah, that was my demo. Do you guys have any questions before I wrap it up?
Well, Stefan, just the one that we talked about kind of before the call started. Like, what do you think about the potential value of like just the underlying tool that scans a website and creates a digest of it and things like that?
I think that's a really smart idea. And honestly, I didn't think of it myself until like when you mentioned it was the first time I was like, oh, this might have some value because it was some time to figure out. And I mean, it's not something that like a dev that knows what they're doing couldn't figure out pretty quickly. But I think in this day and age, like one, people are busy. Two, there's a lot more people that are starting to build stuff, and maybe that they don't know exactly how to do this stuff, or like they don't want to spend time on it. So like I think it is something worth exploring, and I think I'll try to do some kind of quick validation, like maybe talk about my process in building this, and then see what people say, or try to find some way to like kind of explain what I did and see if people are like, oh, I have that problem too, and see if they want it. Or I could even like just set up pretty much like fork this code base and tell them like rather than like I'm gonna roast your page, it'll be like provide your details and I'll just send you the structured JSON output and then see if anybody bites for that. That wouldn't be a lot of work because like I already have this running. It's just literally a fork and a new Supabase in the back end. So yeah, I think it's worthwhile exploring. I'm not sure if it's enough of a pain point for people, but you never know until you try, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this could be an MCP.
Interesting. I didn't think of that. Okay, I'll look into that as well. Never built an MCP before. MCP for scraping. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think this like kind of comes full circle to what you said at the beginning. Is like the more you build, the more ideas you have for other things to build as you come across problems in your own building and doing and talking to people. Yeah, so I will wrap it up with a quick plug for Vibe Combinator. So again, for people who don't know what it is, it's a batch-based community for I guess solo builders who could use accountability to ship their products. And we've also found that it's kind of also been a mastermind where when you have a bunch of people who are trying to do similar things like launching products, like we share our thoughts and ideas together and we help kind of each other refine them through that process. So for me, it's been helpful from both perspectives, both like the accountability and the momentum of like seeing a bunch of people doing stuff and shipping and making me be like, okay, I need to do it as well. But also like learning from people and getting cool ideas like what Ben just shared. That's been super valuable as well, and not something that we envisioned up front. But I think it did turn into that, which is really cool. And yeah, I've enjoyed that. So we're starting batch 4 tomorrow, and we kind of have a bit of a new process. We are following this like application process where you kind of have to like tell us about yourself, what you've done, what problems you're trying to solve, what you built, how much time you're going to dedicate, and then like kind of choose one of these options, like one batch, 1 month, or lifetime. But you don't immediately like join, like has happened in the past. What will happen is we will review your application and interview you. And if we find that you're a good fit for our program, we'll let you in. And if we find you're not, we'll just refund you, no questions asked. I guess not. We're the ones rejecting, so whatever. Yeah, we just refund the person and be like, we don't think we are a good fit for us at the moment. The reason we're trying to do this is because I guess we found that not everyone who joins sticks through to the end. And if we're going to be a community of people who are holding each other accountable and helping each other and like driving momentum, like we'd like to have as close as possible to 100% retention rate from the beginning of a batch to the end of the batch. Like we understand that there's people that like stuff happens, they have lives, but we think like the best way to have that accountability and for builders to feel that is for everyone to kind of stick through to the end. Yeah, so that's why we introduced the application process, and we're also going to be trialing maybe like prizes for batches, like we have in batch 4, which is the best product for batch 4 will win four batches of Vibe Combinator for free, just to kind of incentivize people to finish a batch and keep that momentum going. So yeah, that being said, that means since batch 4 starts tomorrow, you essentially can't apply anymore. There's not enough time for us to review your application and interview. So whoever's in for batch 4 is in, and if you want to join a future batch, that'll be batch 5, which will actually start July 8th. We're going to take a 3-week break after batch 4. I'll be away in Europe, so I think it'd be too much to dump this on the other organizers while I'm away. So yeah, batch 5 starts July 8th, and yeah, if you want to join, that'll be the next one. And until then, follow along batch 4. We're going to be focused on the Bolt Hackathon for whoever wants to, and everyone else, I guess, can continue building their own products that they've already been building if they don't want to participate in the hackathon. Yeah, that's all I had. Any questions on the call? Okay, we will end it there. Thanks everyone for another great batch. It was really fun building alongside you guys, and we'll see some of you in batch 4.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.